Brian, the architect of this entire ecosystem, where the number one place to buy and sell data on the internet. We're hosting some of the top data providers in the world, and we sell data to some of the most aggressive hustlers on the planet who know how to go out and monetize and stuff. And frankly, that's what we're here for. And today we'll talk about some of the enrichment stuff he's been working on. We'll get a little bit into directories that are now online and starting to pull a lot of traction. And of course, data in general of what data you need. And don't wait till the end to ask your question. If you have a question, probably 5 or 10 other people have the same question. And Brian's able to get into and walk through those answers and solutions in real time.
I'll do a little bit of an overview of the whole system real quick, and then we'll just get right into the data enrichment. This is Avocadata. Avocadata is a multi-sided marketplace where you can buy, sell, trade, and exchange data. One of the big things that we began doing is hosting different data providers. And within here, they have over 18,000 different intent lists. So it ranges from loans to people looking for lavender to people looking for anything you can imagine. It's in here. Facial mist, scented soap. And if you want to go, maybe you do solar, you're looking for that. You have all these different solar options. And we charge $4.99 a month and you get unlimited, meaning you can download everything that's in these databases. You can download 1,000 at a time, but if you want to click the button all day long to download everything, you have the ability to do that. One database we refer to as a brick. Now, this isn't a brick on its own, and this isn't a brick on its own. A brick is any combination of these that you choose. So if you say, hey, I want a brick and I only want solar panels, people typing in solar panels, you can do that. But if you also say I want a brick for solar panels and you also want to include distributed energy resources, you can combine the two together. And now you have one brick that has 2 categories. After you make the categories or you make your brick, you can't identify which contact looked up which word. Going more broad, because if you were looking up solar panels and you ended up clicking on another tab that maybe was named renewable energy within the same website, you're now on both of these lists. So there is overlap if your industries are, if the keywords are all very similar. So start small, I would say. Now, the second thing with this is you can customize all the data and filter it. So there's a custom database button where all those unique databases end up. Everything that I just showed you within here, if you buy it from us, you never lose access. If you stop paying, then you don't have access. But if you start paying again in the future, it'll come back. Within the white label, you can set up your own market, and anything that you purchase, you can actually resell to your own users. So if you know how Go High Level works, it's a similar concept. It's not Go High Level, but I just compare it because the idea is with the little investment you make, $500 a month, and you get to keep adding databases, you collect them. And as you collect them, someone down the line might say, hey, can I pay you $200 for some age leads for student debt forgiveness? Well, yeah, I have it. I can go and sell it to you now. So the whole point of this is a tool to break even, right? So if you're able to break even selling a little bit of data, because people, everyone asks everybody. If that's the case, now you can get your leads for free for the month. And that's what I encourage everyone to do. Is if you can find a few people, you can offer them 100,000 leads if you wanted to, because technically you have that ability to do that. But that's just one very important thing I wanted to point out about this entire program of what it's designed for. And we have a really easy setup. If you want to set up a website within the white label, you can actually host it on your own domain, just like Go High Level. You can put in your own merchant, so then you can take payments. This is a screen to help you do the PCI document. And within here, you can actually change the colors to anything that you want, add your company information, and you can customize it in full. Now, there's a tab called Resources in here, which has a lot of good videos of how to help you. So keep this in mind, where all this opens up into blog step-by-step of how to set something up and how to use different features. And additionally, one thing that is, a lot of you guys ask, can you have multiple users? And answer is no, not because we don't want to, just because it's not set up that way. But if you want to get multiple users, you can flip the admin switch, you get to the white label, and now you can sign up as many users as you want. And if you don't want to charge them, you can sign them up regularly and just add them to a free plan. So you can set it up where you don't charge them. You can set it up where they don't have to put a card. As long as you're paying us, you have full control over how these users get access. And you can also manually assign the databases that you purchase one by one. And so if someone's unhappy maybe, or you need to give them a little bit of extra something, then you have that easy flexibility to run off and do that. And the final thing with all the customers is the ability to add the list limit. So within here, you can control how many records they can take at a time. You're set at 1,000. So what that means is 1,000 divided by however many users that download records at every minute. So if you have 2 users downloading 500 records in 1 minute, That's 1,000. That's no problem. That'll work just fine. But if you were to have, let's say, 1,000 users download 100 records at a time, you're going to go over. And then you're going to have to increase the list limit through us, which is $250 per 3,000 increase. But there's no reason to do that until you're making money. And that's kind of the idea, that you don't have to spend too much money at first to get it going. The white label is free to set up. It doesn't cost anything for you to go in, flip the admin switch, and actually start setting the domain up. One thing that you obviously won't have access to are credits. And I'm going to hop back in here because I just got it working again, disregarding. So this is the dashboard where there's two sets of data. There's the traditional data, people, business, solar. What this is public records that get traced to the contact info. So what do I mean? Homeowners, everyone's a tax assessment record. So we know the owners, and then we go up and we give trace to get the cell phone or landline. And you notice how some of these have NA. We have an easy solution. You just flip this switch right here, search, either by hitting enter or by hitting the search button. And you're now going to be left with only the records that have that contact information available. Second, the custom databases. Now, all of those databases we just looked at over here, and the terminology brick, right within here, here's your brick. So the debt relief intent may have been of people looking for the straight up debt relief, or it might have been near bankruptcy for my credit card, or how to pay off loans. Any of those combinations could have been used for this particular one. You get the same permissions. So when we build you a brick, no one else gets access to it for a month and a half. So it's your custom amount that you want to do. This is people researching business valuation. This is someone looking up sell their home. And you'll notice how they're dated from February or week 4. They go on continuously, depending on when people ask for and when they were subscribed. So if you're subscribed month after month and you do business lending, you'd end up getting every single lending databases, a merchant cash one that one person pays us for, and then a business lending. The thing that to make clear is they use the same keywords. They just wanted it to be different names because that's what they sell. And what I mean directly is maybe you applied for an SBA loan, but you're 6 months in business, no revenue, no employees. You're not going to get an SBA loan. So your only option would be a merchant cash or a hard money loan based on your credit and based on your asset. So same thing with IUL, where you're 70 years old and you're applying for IUL and you don't have money, you're not going to get an IUL. You're going to get final expense. So just things to think about when you are making your bricks, saying, hey, I want business lending as one brick and merchant cash advance as a second. You have all the flexibility to filter on this side right here. I'm not going to go through this. There's a lot of videos and a lot of creativity you can do. Every record, you have the ability to make sure that all of them either have a cell phone, an email, or they have any particular contact method. Just like before, if you switch, you remove all the NAs. So now every record in here has a mobile phone. Now to the skip tracing and enrichment. Same process. When you buy and save a list, you now can send it off to other destinations. A lot of you guys who are here, you guys all know about send email, send to go high level. Now there are these two new buttons called internal enrichment and external enrichment. Internal is you being able to take the data that you saved and then you being able to compare it to another database. So you can pull out the similar record. Home remodeling, and we'll see this one. People looking for it in February week. Maybe want to see how long someone was particularly looking for something. So when you select the database you want to enrich it to, you're presented with the table of the initial set of data. This is the data set we want to compare to. One way that I like to do it is address. So I'm going to go pull the address from the personal address field right here, and I'll hit enrich, and it's going to take a few minutes. So now we can select what we want to join. So if we matched everything with personal address, in this example, both of these are the same types of data. So these fields are already filled, but after you hit join, you can hit save list, name it. And just like before, you buy the list over again, it ends up saving here. That's the first thing. So why would someone want to do that? Because maybe someone has a list of LinkedIn URLs, and with those LinkedIn URLs, you would like to figure out who it goes to. So if someone brings you a list of 500,000 LinkedIn URLs, you can upload that into your agency in the white label, and then you would be able to, just like we selected the database just now, you would be able to select that new data set you upload and then enrich it to any of the existing databases that are there. I just got the file delivered of the enrichment, and this is the new file. And if we see, I'm not going to go column by column, but now all these columns were, now there's about 160 columns in this one spread. And you can do this with any type of data. So if you upload your own data and you're like, okay, I want to know how old the person is to this LinkedIn, you have all this flexibility now to pull all this in. And there is a part 2 to all of this. So this package we have a plan for, and it ties to the unlimited once again, but it is on the $8.99 plan to get that ability to use that. The second thing exists is external enrichment. It allows the user to take the address of the phone number or email and send it to a real-time private investigating source that returns the current phone number, and it will give you the phone plan. And just a new thing we added, because if you know what backskip tracing is, the software, basically it's the same thing except more accurate, and it's a white label. So now if you want to resell the same functional enrichment to compare the phone number and get the most recent one, same process. Someone comes to you with a list of homeowner data because they scraped it from the tax assessment and they want the phone numbers. Well, now they can provide that to your system in your white label and then select the external enrichment up. With the external enrichment, you will automatically be the least expensive option on the market. Backskip tracing is that's the go-to for a lot of people. They charge $600 for 10,000 records being enriched. Within this internal data source, if you pay us $8.99, you have no limit. The only limit you have is the speed, which is 1,000 records a minute currently that can be processed. But you don't have any limit in terms of how much enrichment you can do with the internal enrichment for the $8.99. And there's a lot you can sell it for. The external enrichment, again, is going to cost 4 cents each. We have to spend a lot of money to get the price where we want it to be, so we haven't figured that out just yet. But within here, you don't have to be on the $8.99 plan. You would just have to pre-buy the credits to do the enrichment. And we're going to add a row right here called external enrichment content credits remaining. And then you'll be able to keep track of what credits you have stored. And you can resell those credits within your own white label. If you flip the switch right here, that admin tab, you now just entered your own white label environment like I was in earlier. But just to take it to full circle, all of that you can then resell in your own piece right here. And when you resell it, this is an example of one white label, gutterleads.com. Pretty bomb. You have full reign. It's your business. You're in control. So I'll open it up to any questions now.
That's a really good looking website right there, that Gutter. What is that about? Cool looking gorilla there, like a Gutter gorilla. So we can use the data enrichment for old lists that we already pulled?
Yeah.
Did we find out about, can we do multiple NAICS codes?
Yes, we can do that.
How much are the credits to enrich it?
They're 4 cents each at retail.
I have a question about the external enrichment at 4 cents each. Is that just skip tracing phone numbers, or is there other verified information?
So with that, the only thing you're going to get back is phone number, address, email. There are other tools that we're looking at that are just extraordinarily expensive for $2, like if you want court records or.
Yeah, so you just said with the external enrichments for 4 cents per record, you're updating, basically skip tracing, confirming phone number, email, and address, all three?
Correct.
That's pretty cool.
But Brian, does it drop down to 2 cents over 100,000?
We know that we need to buy at least 20 million a month. We're mathematically piecing this together. So yeah, we're going to be looking at an anchor tenant for this. So that way we can meet that threshold to get the price lower. In the initial phase, no, 100,000 initially would not get you to 2 cents.
So is there any free data enrichment, or is it all a cost?
The internal, well, anyone that's on the 499 account, that's been on the 499 account, is getting internal enrichment. But anyone in future that wants to use the internal enrichment, you have to be on the $8.99 plan. But anyone that's signed up currently on the $4.99 plan gets the internal enrichment because you guys have been around for a few months.
So what's that internal enrichment do to solar leads right there, those 2,000 leads?
Theoretically, with these solar leads, if you wanted to then upload a list of people looking for solar, you might be able to tie the 8 solar leads to the people looking for solar, actually, and basically build your own analysis. So we go up, look for the address. We'll do the personal address for now. Click enrich. No records found. So I just tried to enrich to a database where it didn't find anything. But there's bigger databases in here, and as you get to find more, you get to add to your number. So the business database has 36 million records.
Why are we not using this to do HELOCs? I just saw you have people doing high intent, HELOC, home equity, line of credit.
Line of credit. I don't think we have anybody doing that yet. That's a good one. That I imagine somebody's going to find tremendous value in that.
But whatever is the easiest thing that there's no time involved to automate this data with email and forms.
I mean, that's the approach, man. If you think there's a way to do it without the effort, I mean, there is no automated way. Even when you figure out an automated way, the algorithms change, and then you have to be observant to the algorithm change, and then you have to then make corrections to what you're doing to try to adjust it. Like my email, I got blacklisted 2 weeks ago on my email, and I just did my own intuition, and now I'm back up to where I was. My open rate went down to 4% because I was going to spam, and then I did my own research, spent the time to follow the new change where Google now requires the MX record on your email because an easy way to spoof it. So these things constantly change. You can hire a VA, but the VA is only as good as what they know and what you tell them to do. And then VA is always going to say they can figure it out, right? No VA is ever going to tell you no. Problem.
Those are the forms, the solar forms right there.
Yes, solar leads. These were form submissions over the last 3 years. There's 8 million of them. They hit really good still compared to other data. But with what you're saying is there is the enrich button, and that would make sense with the age solar leads. And originally this whole thing was created because you can refurbish solar leads. If you have a list of people who submitted for ACA over 5 years ago and they're 40 years old, well, do some math. 5 years later, they're 45. They're either dead or they're alive.
What's the age limit for ACA? Is it 45 or 55 or
65? But the whole point is if you have age leads that they submitted, you know they're in the market every year for ACA because you're in ACA because of your job type and you might be a 1099 or whatnot and you can't afford. But point being is they're going to need insurance every year. The rates change every year. So there's a common pattern to constantly retarget them. So there's a good business model where, hey, you have age solar leads or age insurance leads. No worries, 4 cents each. We'll refurbish those age insurance leads for you. And now you'll have up-to-date age leads because unless the 60, unless the age range changed, the person's not alive, unless they had a fundamental change in life where they have a really good W-2 job with great insurance. But still, statistically, you're going to get more hits on the age leads that you then enrich after the fact.
And what's the difference of the internal and the external? There's a cost difference, and what's the quality difference?
So quality difference, I mean, with the external enrichment, it's the most up-to-date one. Like this internal number, when it was pulled into the system, could be 2 months old, could be 3 months. People's numbers change. And this is more so for the people who want perfection. You can get perfection, but it's going to have a cost to it.
4 cents.
Yeah, then I just want to open up, see what any other questions that are out there pertaining to anything else. Hey, Derek, what's up?
Hey, what's up, bro? I got that message saying that it failed in strike record.
I missed that. What was that last part?
Like the strike records that we submitted, they got rejected.
Okay, then I'm going to have to give you the referral to another person we have. I have that form. Let me drop that real quick. So there is anyone that needs merchant services. We have a provider we like that we're working with now.
Who will actually communicate directly with you. So like none of this vague, hey, we're going to deny your form submission for some unexplained reason. You'll get some actual communication.
Yeah, let me go and find that real quick. It's through authorized.net. If you try to apply through authorized directly, they will always reject you. I don't know why, but that is always so we have these brokers we work with independently, and they will. This is the difference between Stripe and them. They make money when you make money, and if you get kicked off of their account, they stop making money. And let's say your account's generating 200,000 a year, that's making them an extra 5,000 a month. When you are at risk of getting your account shut down because you have a chargeback, whatever stuff happens in the course of business, they are the ones that do the negotiation for you with the credit card company, so you can stay open. They are the ones that are observant and they're like, hey man, your risk is too high on this. Let's go set up a few other accounts for you. So if this one gets shut down, you have backups. So these are the guys that are the right guys that keep you in business to take care of all those things that are always going to happen.
Okay.
Hey, Keaton.
Yeah, hi. Just want to know if I want to upgrade the plan. Is it possible for me?
Yes, it's possible. Just reach out to us either through email or through the support ticket, and then we'll be able to see it.
Okay.
And yeah, no, we need to meet one-on-one because I was trying to schedule an onboarding with you because I saw you did. So I'm going to drop my phone number for you in the chat. Just shoot me a WhatsApp if you have an Android, and if you have an iPhone, shoot me an iMessage, and then we can get that scheduled.
Sure.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. And the email, I dropped that in because I see that question just came in. And one other thing I want to drop in here is the calendar before I forget, just in case if anyone has to leave, you at least can book an appointment with us. So just drop you that link.
Hey, Brian, is there a fee for the merchant account?
No, there's no fee. They're probably going to make you have a reserve because we had a reserve because we were high risk. We just got banned from Stripe and they made us hold like $7,000. But once you get the reserve up, and they still have it, our reserve is actually at 15,000 now. But now your risk of being shut down is much lower because they see you're invested in protecting their interests as well. And Todd, what's up?
Hey, did Stripe have a problem with selling data or some other?
Stripe is publicly traded. Stripe has shareholders, pension funds own parts of Stripe, which means they have to not deal with risk end of the day. And these individual brokers are independent through the banks and don't have that exposure. Consider anything online. If you're not face to face taking the card, that they don't want that business. They look
Yeah.
to kick you off.
Oh,
Yeah, and most things that are susceptible to a high level of regulatory scrutiny, they tend to stay away from.
I've had Stripe for over 10 years, and that's all I do is sell online software and services.
Yeah,
So-
me too. So the real problem is you're probably like me, where you're very cautious about who you choose to do business with and et cetera, et cetera. But the reality is that Stripe just doesn't give you a lot of shots when you get a few chargebacks. If you get some chargebacks, it's a real problem for them. And that's really messed up because oftentimes those things are potentially out of your control to do business. And if I can find a way to work around Stripe, I prefer to. But I use Stripe too. I've used Stripe for years.
Me personally, I don't really have many problems with it. But there's another service out there called Plaid. Are you familiar? Which is basically just an ACH kind of thing. And
Oh, so glad you mentioned that. Any white labeler that uploads data themselves in their own marketplace from scratch, you can allow your users to sell your data on a contingency plan.
I have a database of every realtor in the entire country.
Yeah, then you can upload that, and then people want to buy it from you.
yeah, I was thinking about signing up for that. There's like $1,000 kind of support fee going on per month, but large transaction, the cap is like $3 per transaction. You can sell a $3,000 deal and only be charged $3.
Oh yeah, it's great. We have Plaid integrated where you can allow people to sell data, and Plaid has an API that allows you to create an invoice balance, and through Plaid they'll automatically deduct the ACH fees from that. So you let them sell 30%, and let them sell for anything they want, and you take 30% of it. There's a fee to that invoicing.
Back to just another question I had. My original question wasn't about Plaid, but we started talking about the white label version here, and I have some of my own data as well accumulated, and it's possible to upload as much as I need in here in different databases and set up for sale.
With the $4.99 plan that you're on, you get to build one brick, and the limit that you're set at is the download speed. So your users can only download again 1,000 records a minute. But if you want to add all your age leads or whatever, you can go off and reset up the database like this. You would just have to build out the columns. So what's the name of the column? First name. What's the name of the column? Last name. What's the name of the column? Phone number, right? So just build this out perfectly to match the column names, and you can't put spaces. So, can't do it like business space email. You have to do a underscore. And within here, you can create the search up. So let me zoom. So within here, you can make the search field. Is it a text search? Is it a range, meaning a number? Switch is basically, you can control it at 0 or 1. So is it yes or no? Is it NA or is it not NA? You get to program this, and you can make it a drop down if you want. So you can preview the drop down. You would just do mail, email, right? And then you make a drop down. And once you do that, you would save, and your database will be set up over here. And if there's more data to upload, you just hit the upload data button and just add the spread. And if you did it correctly, it'll show the whole table. If you did it incorrectly, it might say there's extra columns or there's missing columns. And if there's let's say a new spreadsheet you want to upload, the columns have to be the same. They don't have to be in the same order, but you have to have the same amount of columns and the same type.
And what's the limit on the amount of data that can be uploaded?
You can upload as much as you want, but the caveat is, let's say you upload 1 trillion records and you can only filter 1,000 a minute. I mean, if you pull the calculator out, what does that equal? But yeah, so you get to upload unlimited, but then the charging that you might have to pay in the future is all determined by the speed of what you want to download. So
what kind of message is delivered to the user if you get that threshold all of a sudden? Is it like, just wait a minute?
Something to do with your reaching your bandwidth maximum.
But again, you just have to wait 1 minute and then you can continue on.
Exactly. And you only get into a problem, like I said, if you upload, let's say 1 trillion records, right? What's that? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So it would take, 10 years.
Yeah. I just made databases of a few 100,000,
If you're talking less than 3 million records, your users aren't going to have a problem. And it's all tied to the 1,000 a minute. So if someone is downloading 1,000 a minute, that means another user can't download. But you have the flexibility of being, I can let you log in between 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. every day. And now you can log 50% discount, because no matter the cost, the servers are still running. It's just about spreading out the distribution of when people are actually using it. So you have that flexibility to tell someone, hey, I can save you some money if you only log in at this time of day to download.
Okay, so for example, someone purchases 10,000 leads of some database of mine, and it's going to take them 10 minutes for that file to completely come down to their PC.
Your account is set a limit. So let's say we give your account the limit of 1,000 every single minute. Now you have to divide that limit out to other users, right? I know what you're saying. You're asking, will it do all 10,000 at once? We haven't set it up to automate like that. It's set up where the user can only download a specific amount of records per minute. Meaning if the limit's 1,000, right? Now, when the user tries to download more than 1,000, and when they save the list, it's going to tell them that there's a limit.
If someone buys 10,000 records, is it one file every minute of 1,000 records? So it ends up being 10 files?
They would have to save it 10 times. Unless your limit is 10,000, for instance, then that user under you can download 10,000 at a time. So the limit that your user gets is determined by you. So if you have one guy that wants to pay $5,000 a month for 100,000 records at a time, you can do that. And now that limit you can use all the time as 100,000 because they covered your cost.
Yeah, most people want to buy tens of thousands of records on this.
I mean, at the end of the day, the way we present ourselves as a data transfer company, the real limit is the speed. So that's why we give you guys the flexibility. And you can resell that speed too. That's the other key thing. So if you're paying for 100,000 records at a time, you can upcharge one of your users $100 a month to increase it to 5,000. So it's all added revenue opportunities. If your user wants to download 10,000 at a time, instead of selling him 10,000 credits, you could theoretically sell him unlimited, and he can log in once a day and download 10,000. You have all that flexibility to profit off of what other people are paying you for.
So when selling this, you don't get any blowback. We upcharge them. Say if you want to download one file faster, it costs you more money.
No, not faster, not faster. So this is the example, right? So you said 10,000. So theoretically, the user would have to do 1,000, file 1, buy list, file 2, buy list, file 3, buy list. It's annoying, but that customers understand. Like, you're offering them unlimited, or you're offering them a great deal. Then all the extras that they want come off as almost like favors. If you're increasing the limit, you have the flexibility of saying, you know what, let me give you 4,000 instead of 3,000, just because I'm feeling good today, just pay me the same. You're in the position where the customer will always win, basically, or you can present that opportunity. Well, let me ask you this, Todd. The reason why we said 4 cents with enrichment externally is because that's what our users were telling us is the price they want, and we're telling us at the price they can profit reselling. So we would need your feedback in terms of what is a fair pricing increment to that degree. Because we need to know what it's worth to your user to pay you more at this point. Because we only make money if you guys can make profit.
The data's gold if the address, email, and phone are skip trace and belong to that person, right? How verified are these emails? And the biggest problem you run into is unverified phones and unverified emails, and then that creates problems with the users because like all these emails you're running through here, I can see the quantity, which is amazing. I've seen this before in your Go High Level account. How did you validate your emails there? Because your balances are really low compared to that volume.
So when we first acquired the emails, we're able to recognize the email most recently used. So if there's a pile of 30 email addresses that we have for one person, we're able to see when is the last time an email was exited by that email address.
I think it's that combined with the fact that the bulk of his email subject matter is educational and informational, with sort of the underlying but unwritten sort of subtext is like you can buy the products that help facilitate this here, but I don't think he does sales emails at all.
Yeah,
he does educational emails and informational emails, and because of that, a lot of people open, which then it becomes this kind of self-validating thing as well. Which
I can see how this is the emails are getting delivered, but my question was primarily focused on you sent a million records here and only 2,246 bounce. That's freaking phenomenal. Before you uploaded this million emails to your Go High Level system here, how did you validate that email on such a great scale?
I literally just downloaded it right from Avocadata and re-uploaded it. I just put it right into here.
And then you mentioned, and I've seen data where there's 4 or 5 different emails inside of, the personal email field. So are you saying that some of this data that comes out of Avocadata, that it shows you which email was used last?
Yeah, it's listed under the personal email column. So usually when my calendar starts to slow down and when Kush tells me he needs more people, that's when I'll add more people to this email chain. So I'll download some more records actually. So I'll just go to, we'll extend it a little bit longer, the webinar, but just do full how we do, go high level emails. So I'll go to my data buyer database. So these could be people that were looking for business leads. This can be people looking for data enrichment, whatever the case might be. And I'll do my normal filtering, make sure everyone has a personal email. I can't download duplicates. It's impossible, like we went over before. So I'll go download 1,000 and let me get my email open.
Is this intent data for data buyers? Is that what that is?
Correct. There was people looking up, Zoom info, looking up CMSAI.
Wait, what? We got high intent data for high intent data?
Bro, that's what I do.
Why the hell did I not think of that before?
Probably a lot of you got in the email seat if you never opted in. So I just got this list. So now I'm going to go off. They have the buttons backwards. They've been backwards. They've never changed them. But I'll import the contacts in the download button. Go High Level now limits you on the upload quantity too. They started doing that because people were uploading massive spreadsheets from us. So let's load. And then I only map the email. I don't map anything else. I'll map the email on the phone. I don't map the name because, if the name is wrong, not that it's wrong because it's totally wrong, but if you're reaching the 18-year-old daughter instead of, the father, that happens sometimes. And I personally, or the wife versus the husband, that's a better example. Then I use the skip trace wireless phones for all the phone numbers. And I keep track of everything with the same tag called data buyer and make it a smart list. And that'll start importing. Now, I don't know how long it's going to take because Go High Level's slow with this. But let's just imagine it happens fast. Oh, this is faster than normal. All right, so while that's doing that, sometimes I did actually stop doing it, but I'm going to start doing it again, which was I use Go High Levels email validator sometimes.
Jesus.
It gets expensive. And when you're doing it this many, I mean, it's cheap, but when you're doing it this many times for, same thing. So
Yeah, does Go High Levels validator validate the domain name or the username as well? Because you see so many verifiers out there that all they're doing is checking the index record that the domain exists. They don't check the username. Like if everybody's on Gmail.
I mean, even the thing is, though, it removes the really toxic, like even though it's not removing everything, it does remove the most toxic ones, I would say.
I mean, because a real bad situation is if you sell someone a pile of data and they go and they slam it into their bulk emailing system and all of a sudden they get, 20, 30, 40, 50% bounces and it ruins their reputation and it ruins their system. They're pissed off.
Well, a lot of the times I would say it's on the user too, because I mean, the email, the addresses.
A lot of these people don't know how to do it. And there's so many different, scenarios on how to do it and most cost effective way to do it. You try to find ways of doing it without putting more burden or cost onto your customer. At least I do.
No, I agree with that. And
so many people are so dumb that, some people just don't know. They don't know what they don't know, and they'll wreck themselves. And so you got to really be aware of that. Get wrecked.
No, I that's why I started doing the email myself, just because it was like, I wanted to figure this out. And really the formula I figured out is obviously if the emails are good, if you're, what these people Googled, right? So act like a newspaper, act like a magazine. Who cares? Write about the content they're Googling. And after you write about the content that they're Googling, add in these little links to book an appointment. So people are Googling data as a service. So the first email I get is data as a service, book an appointment, right? And I just, the first email's, more of a sale. But as time goes on, the emails turn into education. And I just want to take a look at the email I just sent out Sunday today.
So I think what we need to do, Brian, is we need to kick off next week with setting up, warming up, and, working your email. As one of our topics, because I think if one person finds this useful, 10 people do. I know I do. Every time you go into it, I learn something new, and I do this shit with you every day. So,
yeah, I think that's a great idea. Let me just interrupt for a second. I think that's a great idea because selling data is one thing, but then getting it delivered, effectively that it makes an impact.
Yeah. And I think it's too. And I think it's too important of a topic to just rush at the end of the AMA. So I think we'd like to sink into this and spend a little more time with it. So I think one of the things we can plan on doing, I know you're going to finish this up, but I think one of the things we can plan on doing is putting this at the top of the agenda for next week's AMA as well.
Yeah, just for example, I'm outbound mailing some email and triple verifies. Oh, great shit, 50% bouncing.
Yeah, no, I don't go into any of that.
Yeah, it's super frustrating. It really is.
And you just have to have a system in place that that verifies these emails, that so you don't run into the more bounces you get, the more problems your deliverability will go down.
Yeah, so I just added those 700 that we just sent out at 101. All right. So
that's spam detection 101 from 2000. That
they all deliver, and I still get a 10% cold open rate.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. I see your proof here, man. This is phenomenal, and I'm just wondering, how do you do that? How are you getting such great email addresses that are deliverable? I understand about sending messages that people read and open and reply to. Yeah, that also increases your reputation. But the first step is making sure that the emails are valid.
I love it. Let's top of the agenda next week. Let's literally pull some fresh email addresses and data from the system and import it and go through the whole step by step and sort of talk it through. I think it's going to be valuable for a lot of people. And again, like I do this with you every day, Brian, and every time I still learn something new, or I still pick up on something that you've probably said to me a dozen times, but like for whatever reason, that last time it really stuck with me. I think this is a topic we can spend a lot more time on throughout the AMA rather than, forcing it in at the end. So I think that's on the agenda for next week.
Yeah, I almost want to build my own somehow, some way. I was in Manus the other day to say, build me an email verifier, and it went to work. I don't know if it worked exactly like it's supposed to, but it wrote something out in about 20 minutes. I thought maybe to get that together and hack it up, but man, again, it's great to sell data, but boy, if that data has a lot of bounces,
well, if you build a good email validator, you can also offer it as an upsell service for any of our other users in our marketplace.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. There's a lot of services out there that do that, but it gets quite expensive. When you're talking the amount of data that I'm used to seeing, a couple grand for just 1 million records in your database it's important.
Yep.
It does.
All right, should we wind it down here, Brian?
Yeah, that's Was there any?
All right.
Yeah. Does any no last questions? Anything remaining? Don't see any hands.
Okay, I just want to
My
say
question-
one more time. I see. Oh, go ahead.
My question was actually pertaining to what that was, is validating because I have a list of about 700 for a campaign. And I was thinking that perhaps we upload that to your system and it would validate those, but that I believe that kind of got answered there. So,
Well, actually, what you could do, because there is the enrichment feature, so I just added those emails that came from the enriched data we already have. So if you upload your emails, we probably could find the most recent email from the emails you upload, and because our data is ready, so that would be included.
so it would go through and try to find valid emails that correlate to those leads. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. And Ryan?
I did a search for restaurants in between Los Angeles County, Orange County, and San Diego County because I have a client that wants restaurants, but he's actually specifically looking for restaurants. Haven't had to actually call why on that, but he's targeting Mexican restaurants. But I searched just restaurants and I put all the zips in there, and it only came 1,000. But when I asked Grok how many Mexican restaurants in the area, they told me I think there was like 10,000.
Yeah, so not every record's going to be there, but I just sent you a video because there's a restaurant might not be the only word, right? There's food and beverage. There's as a company industry. Like this guy was looking for Pizza Hut franchises and Subway franchises.
Well, I put in the NAICS code, NAICS.
Yeah, that's one way. I mean, I would use the business professional database, and I'll share my screen real quick. And then I think Razik was the last question, and then we can we'll wrap this up. But real quick, like that's the thing with big reason why it's a white label is there's a million ways to find what people are looking for. So within the business professional ones, everyone has access to this, and there is a company name. So let's say Subway, and then you want to find the people that are in charge of the Subway. You can do seniority level CXL. You're going to find some people who own Subways in there. So you see there's 1,000 people that just own a Subway. So, and that's a big thing. And then there's industry, type of food. There's quite a few food industries specifically that
he wants Mexican food, so I did with the NAC code I put Mexican, but maybe I should do without the code and just Mexican.
Yeah, there's multiple ways. You're not going to find everything with just doing one NAICS code because people, when they first set up their business, it might have been not a Mexican restaurant when they started. It might have been a pizza place when they realized Mexican food can make more money, but they wouldn't actually change the code.
So would you recommend doing like Mexican and like taquerias?
I'm actually trying to type in just Mexican in the company name. You've got Mexican in the company name. There's beer or food. What do I have?
Most Mexican restaurants have Mexican or taquerias.
Exactly, and that's the way to think about this. And that's exactly what you just said. Like, oh, okay, how else can I find a Mexican restaurant if they listed their NAICS as catering services?
Maybe like right? Chinese. Most Chinese restaurants have.
Yeah, now you're finding pattern recognition. That's the idea. So let's go type in real quick Mexican in the restaurant.
Okay, so I'll go back in there because I use the smart of AI to pull up all this and then I because there was probably freaking 100 zip codes for 3 counties or more, so I just copy and paste them all in there.
Yeah, and I just typed in Mexi, city of Mexico. Obviously, you don't want the city of Mexico, Missouri, but lots of ways to play around with it.
Okay. Now, is there a way, say, like, because you say there's going to be every restaurant there, is there a way if I scrape locations off of maps, is there a way that we can find those owners?
Yeah, you would be able to do that.
I mean, I guess for public record, I could find the owners and scrape that. But then how would we find, in the Inver database?
They would be in the business professional database, and now that we have that new external enrichment feature, if you upload the data to the agency side, you can then enrich it to another provider we use, and you'll be able to get the most up-to-date contact info. So if you have, let's say the registered agent is the owner, and the owner's registered agent address is his home address. You plug in the address into the external enrichment, we find the phone number that goes to the person in that address.
Got it. So you're saying it's an address?
So it can be from address, it can be from phone, or it can be from email, or any time. If you give me a phone number and an address, the phone number, the landline that was in your house when you were born in 1990, that's great information because 99.9% of the time we will find the newest cell phone if you include both those things, an old phone number that's accurate and an address.
Got it. So I would need to have, you're saying the agents is that a white label?
Yeah, so it's all included in in all the plans. You would just flip that switch to get to agency. And then any data that you scrape, you can upload into a new database that you make. And when it's uploaded, I don't know if you were here in the beginning, but with this new feature, once it's uploaded, you can connect what database you want to enrich it. So you're like, okay, I want to match all the address fields to the new database. You would be able to pick address and then be able to list what you want to link it to. So personal emails, like additional personal emails. If you upload a list of personal emails, for instance, it would look for all these emails and then conjoin the two records together.
I see.
All right.
I have one question, and if you need to schedule a call for it.
You know, we'll do one more.
Okay. Until I can or have enough volume to actually sign up as a white label, are you guys still offering like pay by the lead?
So the white label you can get fully turned on at no cost, right? The only time that you actually need